Hi everyone, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel, What Cass Read. Today I am bringing you my October TBR. Now, much like everybody else on BookTube, and pretty much everyone else like everywhere, October signifies spooky season for a lot of people, so I do have some spooky reads on here, and then continuing on with a few series that I'm absolutely in love with. So the first book that I want to talk about is actually Mexican Gothic, written by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This was my Patreon book buddy read pick. We voted on what book we would like to read for spooky season. It was a very tight race between a Stephen King book and Mexican Gothic, and then Mexican Gothic won out. So this book does make me a little bit nervous, because I have read one Silvia Moreno Garcia book before. I read Certain Dark Things, which was her like vampire novel, vampire clans within Mexico City. I wanted to love that book so bad, and I ended up DNFing it. There were so many things that I wanted that book to be, because I wanted like so much history of Mexican vampire clans, and I didn't feel like I got a lot of that. It's been so long ago since I attempted to read that book, and I don't even own it anymore. So this will be my second attempt at a Silvia Moreno Garcia book. I haven't read any of her newer stuff that has come out recently because of that experience with Certain Dark Things. But this one does sound really interesting, and because I know that I wanted to like Certain Dark Things so much, I am really hoping that I will enjoy Mexican Gothic. So this follows the story of a young woman who is investigating her cousin's claims that her husband is trying to murder her. So it's a Gothic horror novel, perfect for this time of year. I'm really excited to read it with my patrons. If you are also interested in future buddy reads with Patreon, the link to join my Patreon is down below. And again, we'll have a live show discussing that. Another book that is going to follow along with my spooky season vibes. This is Every Dead Thing, written by John Connolly. This was a book that I put in my video, These Books Will Self-Destruct. So a long time ago, I had decided that I was going to start picking up a few more murder mysteries, detective procedurals, those kinds of things. I really was trying to dabble in mystery thrillers slash venture out into horror. I haven't gotten to a lot of that type of TBR just yet, so I thought, since this is a book that I said will self-destruct by the end of the year if I don't read it, I do want to put it on my October TBR. So this is a Charlie Parker thriller. It follows a retired NYPD police detective, Charlie Parker. He ended up having to retire from the police force. His family was brutally murdered, and it took him out of the game. Somehow, I don't know exactly how, because I haven't read this book yet. This is actually the first book in this set of thrillers. He has wound up in the city of New Orleans, and perfect for spooky season as well. If anyone's ever been to New Orleans, great city for this time of year. But he is somehow on the heels of a brand new serial killer, one who's more gruesome than anything he's ever encountered before. And yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one. So it's going to self-destruct if I don't read it. This is the perfect time of year for a retired police detective serial killer kind of vibe, and I am here for it. Now, if you saw this book in the thumbnail, you'll know why this book is incredibly intimidating to me. And I can't believe I'm actually going to do this. All right, let's talk about it. This is It, written by Stephen King. Of course, many people have seen this book before. I am dabbling more and more into Stephen King, and like I had mentioned, I'm trying to dabble a little bit more into horror. This is like going off the deep end for me, so that's why I can't believe it's actually on my TBR. But I feel like if I don't put it on my October TBR, I'm not going to get to it for a long time. Like I just won't. I'll be like, oh, I'm saving that. So I did really well in the month of September, because I finished Oathbringer. So that's a 1,200 pager. I think this is 1,300 pages. I thought I was going to pick small books for October because of Oathbringer. I guess I lied. So this takes place in the town of Derry, Maine, and we follow a group of children, and there's a lot of flashback scenes between their adult selves and their younger selves. And the town of Derry, Maine is Stephen King's fictional town, but kind of the mystery around this town is that what happens in the town, and then once you leave the town, you kind of forget. You just start forgetting, and your memories are erased of like the experiences that you have while you're in Derry, Maine. There is a young boy whose younger brother goes missing, and it turns out there's this killer clown demon named Pennywise who has been haunting each of these children. And it follows their experiences and the town's experiences. I've heard a lot of things all across the spectrum on this book. I've actually watched It Part 1. I haven't watched the older version of It, but I did watch like the newer release video, It Part 1. I haven't watched It Part 2, which October, you know, why not? I should tell my husband, let's finish up watching Part 2. So I do know a lot of what happens in this, but I have been enjoying Stephen King's writing, and I have been enjoying, you know, getting to know his characters, and a lot of people say that this is one of his best examples of character work. You know, the hauntings and the kinds of things that go on, obviously Stephen King was on coke when he wrote this, so I'm expecting, I don't know what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a coke-fueled writing horror novel. After having seen the movie, I don't know. But why not? Like I said, if I don't get to it now, I don't know when I'll get to it. And this is a big, big book that I want to take off of my TBR. So now to lighten the mood, a little bit lighter of a mood than It, I have 3 books that are SFF that will tie me over and just kind of anchor me while I explore this horror novel. So the first one that I want to talk about, this is Empire of Storms, written by Sarah J. Maas. This is book number 5 of the Throne of Glass series. I just finished up book number 4 in the month of September. We follow Selena Sardathian through book number 5 of this whole series. I can't really get into too much of what's going on because of spoilers, but I've been enjoying books 3 and 4, and I do have good hopes for what book number 5 will bring. And then the last 2 books that I for sure want to get to, I have like a maybe book kind of sitting right next to me. I don't know if I'll actually get to my maybe book because of It, but I do have 2 books in a new series that I started in the month of September, fell in love with it so much that I immediately went out and bought the whole series. So I'm talking about the Red Rising series, and I'm going to pick up Golden Sun, which is book number 2, and I do want to pick up book number 3, Morning Star. Both of these are written by Pierce Brown, and I am telling you, this series really took me by surprise. It was one of my Bookopoly-thon prompts, which was a chance read. So it was like all of these things just were in my favor for falling in love with this series. It was a chance book. I wasn't really expecting to get to it anytime soon, and book number 1, Red Rising, blew me out of the water. Both of these books are on Scribd, so kind of depending on, like, I don't know, for sure Every Dead Thing is a physical read. It is on Scribd as an audiobook. I don't know if I'm going to like the audiobook, but I'm going to try and see if I can do an audio physical copy kind of mishmash, see how I get along with it. And then the same thing with this. So depending on what happens with It, I might do these on audiobook, which is how I listened to book number 1 before I went out and bought a physical copy. I really loved the audiobook narrator, so my feelings and my thoughts are that I want to continue on with this series as an audiobook. It just kind of depends on what that big massive tome is going to do to my whole reading month. But anyways, this whole series follows a young man named Darrow, and they are on Mars. They have been mining this precious resource called helium-3 because the whole idea was there are these caste systems, and the Reds are the lowest on this caste system, but they are the only ones who can help terraform the planet and mine this precious resource and make the planet of Mars habitable. Turns out Mars has been terraformed for quite a long time, and the Reds have just been enslaved as the lowest caste just for this precious resource. And Darrow ends up finding himself along this like secret rebellion plot. That's just like a really minuscule, very minuscule description about what actually happens in Red Rising. The ending of Red Rising just surprised me and shocked me so thoroughly that I knew there was no way I was going to put off Golden Sun. And then I've heard that there's no way you're going to want to put off Morning Star. So that's why I just decided to put both of these books in my October TBR. And then my maybe book. We'll see. I was just kind of like looking on my shelf. Are there any other spooky reads or, you know, things that might be cool to read during the month of October? And I ended up grabbing Sabrina Off the Shelf, written by Garth Nix. This is actually like a children's, I don't know if it would be considered children's literature or middle grade or young adult. I'm not sure, because I know this came out when I was still a kid. I looked, the publishing date was 1995, and in 1995, I was 8. So it's been around for a long time. I remember seeing this book on the shelf when I was a kid and just always, I don't know, I just decided I never really wanted to give it a shot until now as an adult I realized there's like necromancy in here. If I can finish all of these like super priority reads, this is on the maybe pile, and I think this would be a fun way to go, fun way to finish off October. All right, there you have it. That is my October TBR. I think I've got a good mix of spooky reads, dark and twisty reads, plus, you know, some science fiction fantasy novels on the list, so that way I can, you know, give myself a really good balance. You can follow me on my social media if you want. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. It's at whatcassread, the same as this channel, so it should be super easy for you to find. Goodreads, that is listed down below. And like I had said, join my brand new Patreon. The information for that is also listed down below. You know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later.